Okay, all right. Now to our topic this afternoon. We've all been told that we should recycle plastic bottles and containers. Plastic bottles and containers are among the most recycled materials, but many are not aware of what actually happens to the plastic that we recycle and to the plastic that we just throw away from our bus seats. Now, today on Business Insight, we focus on plastic waste management. And Mr. Himanshu Dodia from Kenya Manufacturers Pet Subsector Chair is here to give us more details on that. Welcome to Business Insight this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. It's an important and a very vital topic to talk about. That is the plastic waste management in the country. And we are lucky that Kenya is among the few countries, that have taken up the initiative to ban plastic bags earlier on. That is in 2017. And I think thumbs up to us, for that, because it's one of the most difficult rules or, world's toughest laws to go through. But just recently, the government now came up with the initiative to, on how we can manage plastic waste in the country. So how has that been received, first of all, by industry players?
Well, industry has really embraced the idea of government coming forth and basically trying to promote what we call a circular economy for plastic waste. The private sector has taken the forefront on this issues with regard to the circular economy in the plastic value chain. In particular, we are right now in the week of UNEA 4, and we, as industry, we've taken the forefront, members of Kenya Association of Manufacturers, on signing up the Ocean Plastics Charter. It was on June 9th, 2018, when Canada, France, Germany, Italy, the UK, European Union, and other countries like Kenya endorsed to the Ocean Plastics Charter.
And Mr. Himanshu, before we even dwell much into that, we will be talking about it. Maybe you can explain to the viewers probably what it means when we say circular economy.
Yes. So circular economy is basically whatever post-consumer plastic waste is going out into the environment is collected, is segregated, and then recycled into other applications.
All right. You spoke earlier about, the United Nations Environmental Assembly that was there just a few days ago, and the Environment CS, that is Keriako Tobiko, talked about considerations on, how we can manage the plastic waste in the country. And he talked of policies, technologies, probably new technologies and new innovative solutions to see how we can improve our environment. When can we expect the take-back scheme or the extended producer responsibility?
Yes, it's very good you've asked this question. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers has been working on all fronts with government and related agencies, and we have adopted an EPR scheme known as Extended Producer Responsibility Scheme through a South African model. In South Africa, it is known as Petco. We have localized it to Petco Kenya, and right now we have members coming on board with Petco Kenya as a very good governance of an EPR scheme, where it connects all the dots right from the first collector to the segregation center to the recycling center, and of course in the value chain the converters are also involved, and of course the consumer.
And as much as we look at the positive side of the bottles that we use.
Yes.
You know, the packaging, and probably also we can talk about durability, because it's not an easy bottle to break, you know, like the glass one. But just to demystify, okay, people think that there is it a ban on plastic bottles, or are we doing away with plastic bottles, or are we going back to the recycling process?
That's a very, very important question, and let me demystify the myth. The fact is that we are not, the government along with the private sector agreed that we're not putting a ban on the plastic bottles. However, we are going to mitigate jointly the post-consumer plastic that's going into the environment in a sustainable manner. Yeah.
All right, and before that, has there been any public awareness on the either disadvantages of waste in the country, just like there was with plastic bags ban, that is in 2017?
Yes. So Kenya Association of Manufacturers has been working with many other partner organizations and BMOs, whereby we have participated in over or about approximately 65 cleanup activities throughout the country, as well as teaching the children in schools why the plastic itself is, the bottles or the containers, they're not bad, but we need to become responsible citizens in the waste disposal of the plastics.
And Mr. Himanshu, you just said that, you know, the plastic bottles are not bad, but there has been a controversial debate on the health risks of plastic. They are manufactured, you know, using different environmental, you know, damaging processes. So how do those things, those two work that way?
A very good question. First of all, there are many fractions or different types of plastics. There are about 16 different types of plastics that we use today in the world and in Kenya. And categorically, we have clubbed them into 7 big families of plastics. One of them being the PET bottle, the famous water bottle that we see being used. That is the PET. The good thing about all these plastics is that it can be recycled and it has a better life cycle, and it's a perennial life cycle if used and recycled properly. As far as the microplastics that are going into the environment, for example in the marine litter, that is what we're trying to prevent. What we're trying to also prevent under the Ocean Plastics Charter is the use of microplastics in cosmetics, in personal care items, so that they don't affect the fish and the marine life.
All right, and you know, as every Kenyan looks forward to this, you talked about the public awareness before this initiative actually starts. You can take us through the scheme, like what are individuals or the public intended to do?
This is very good. So the value chain of the plastics container starts from the first collector. It goes to a collection center where the plastics are then segregated, the different types of plastics as well as the colors, and then it goes to a recycler. As after it goes to the recycler, it can come to the recycler from the converters themselves, right? The manufacturers of those plastic bottles, who have the inline rejections as well. And then the recycler then gives those, recycles the plastic either into plastic flakes and then gives it onwards to somebody who can manufacture, say for example, textile fiber out of it, which goes back into duvet covers or sports shirts. Today we have companies who are establishing their businesses, recycling businesses, because this is a great opportunity for the youth as well as employment as per the Big Four agenda.
Now, you talked about cleanup activities, which you know would involve the a big number of unemployed youth in the country. So let's talk about employability. How do you plan to create employment for the many unemployed Kenyans in the country? I believe this will provide an opportunity for the youth. And of course, as the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, you will also have to work hand in hand with the government to see that, this has been attained.
A brilliant question. So this is where Kenya Association of Manufacturers is currently drafting the Kenya Plastics Action Plan. And in that plan, it is involving the youth for collecting and incentivizing the youth to collect the bottles and mop them up out of the environment through the model of what we discussed earlier, the EPR scheme for Petco, Kenya. And then we're looking at other EPR schemes for the other types of plastics.
And, when just going back a little bit, when plastic bags were banned back in 2017, we saw the government and NEMA take disciplinary action. So what can the public expect this time round? Because we have seen people throwing plastics anywhere. We still haven't seen measures being taken. People take, beverages in their cars and just throw bottles out of the windows. Yeah.
So this is the throwaway culture that we want to move away from, and a shift in paradigm. And we're now in talks, in partnering up with organizations such as KENA, Kura, whereby we can come up with a framework of cooperation with them such that we can deter the youth or any common citizen to avert this from this throwaway culture. We're currently forming this kind of a framework where we can mitigate this kind of a problem.
So you haven't come up with any measures or disciplinary actions that you can instill in the public's minds.
So there have always been talks of imposing fines to the public, but before you go that route of imposing fines, one needs to also understand that the citizens need to know the value of a plastic bottle, how important it is for all of us. And it cuts across all sectors, be it not only the food and beverage sector, but our export sector of our floriculture being number one, the plastic sleeves, the pharmaceutical sector. Once we've sensitized the citizens, then they will understand that throwing away plastic is not a good thing.
And, as you talked about plastics, and in the move to, in the move to at least, attain a better environment, are you just looking at bottles, in anything plastic, the food cans, or there are so many things that are plastic-like. So are we just looking at plastic bottles, or are you going to look at other, factors?
So when we discuss looking at plastics, we're looking at plastics holistically. We're looking at all the 16 fractions of plastics, the different types of plastics. For example, a jerry can, oil jerry can, is made out of a different plastic from a common water bottle that you'll see. Water bottles are PET. The jerry cans, the basins that you see, or the plastic stools, or they are made out of another component of plastic known as HDPE. So we are looking at a holistic approach in mopping up all types of plastics and to see which plastics have got recyclability and which have also got end of life, which cannot be recycled, and we try to mitigate those uses of those plastics.
Now let's talk about the collaborative strategies that the Kenya Association of Manufacturers has come up with, and looking at towards reaching a common objective in waste management. When these bottles are recycled, which other areas do we expect that they can be used?
Oh, this is a brilliant question. So the PET bottles can be utilized. For example, there's a factory that is being put up right now in Mulolongo to make textile fibers. those same fibers, you can use them for duvets, or you can use them for sports shirts, or even footwear. The bottles can be flaked, cleaned out and flaked, and can be mixed with bitumen, asphalt, for making roads. You put a certain percentage of the plastic and it makes very good roads. They're doing that currently in many countries of the world. Bottles can also be used, a certain percentage of those bottles can be also used for making roofing tiles, fencing posts, road sign posts. And of course, you're aware that we have made, Kenya has been on the forefront of making a completely 100% recycled boat, a jahazi, that sailed from Lamu to Zanzibar, and it's being showcased currently at the United Nations, on the United Nations grounds.
And finally, as we wind up, very important for us to know or understand whether we will have any stations in the different areas where bottles can be collected.
Very good question. So what we're doing is we're partnering with government as well as government agencies, various agencies, where we're going to put strategically located collection bins. We partner with them such that the waste management companies collecting those bottles can forward it to the recyclers, or perhaps even the recyclers themselves can ferry them to their plant to recycle them. So that is all already in the woodworks, it's in the plans. Yes.
Your final words to individual out there. What should every Kenyan take? We need to take action on this. So what can you tell them?
Well, the first thing is, please do not trash plastic. Do not throw away the plastic. Segregate at source. Try to segregate as much as you can from your households, so that it makes it easier for the person collecting the plastics to recycle it and of course to sort it out and upcycle it to other products that we talked about earlier.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Himanshu Dodia. He is the subsector chairman at Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Thank you so much for those detailed reports and understanding on waste management in the country. All right, that's all the time we had for this afternoon. That has been Business Insight. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Wanjiro Maina. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.